So hello, I'm back again to talk about American domestic politics. Well, I was trying to upload a video from TikTok, so I had to do this twice, but didn't work out. Anyways, I just want to discuss the recent disastrous decision, what's new, by the Donald Trump administration to further expand and deregulate and protect the right of Monsanto's to not only take over small farms, which he's effectively doing just with his tariffs alone, okay, which I want to remind people are the backbone of our community and our country, the small farms. All right. So, again, more handouts and more power overreach for corporate America to do whatever the hell they want. What a shocker. So now he just took a recent executive order and made his recent decision deciding to further allow Monsanto's to put more glyphosates in our wheat and our corn, which they were already doing 100% to our corn products, are now doing to our wheat products. Like glyphosates were not a problem in our food before, which I want to remind people gave people the rise of cancer risk and deaths. Okay, exposure to pesticides has been proven to increase the risk of cancer, which is going to create more lawsuits and more health issues. Because we've already had an issue with Monsanto's and these big corporate agriculture companies putting garbage in our food that don't belong in our food. Because they're trying to cut costs, cut corners, and make a bigger profit. So we already had that issue before, and I don't want to give people the illusion that I suddenly woke up and realized this because Trump's in the White House. No, it's been a problem for a long time because the FDA and Congress are technically bought off by corporate America. So obvious. We've known that for a long time. But this is why I say regulation matters. Regulation protects us, consumers. Okay? Especially when it comes to corporate America. Corporate America we need to regulate them. They are going to poison us for a profit. Okay. They're going to poison us for a profit and cut corner cost at any end they can. Okay. This is why regulation matters. It protects us consumers, who, by the way, are the backbone of our economy. We're the ones buying the goods and services. We're not cutting corners. Yeah, we're trying to save money, but we buy things to survive and live and thrive. Okay? If they depended strictly on the rich to do everything, our country would be in trouble. Because the rich people have their own entity, their own access. Some stuff they're even getting free. Okay? And they're saving their money. Because they can save their money. So if they think the 1% alone is going to keep this empire running, they couldn't be more wrong. So regulations matter because they protect us. Whether it's the trust busters looking out for our financial health, as far as making sure we don't get scammed by big corporate banks, or fraudsters on the move trying to steal our money and our identity. Okay. Public safety when it comes to our health and our food. Okay, these things matter because our health matters, our public safety matters, our financial health matters. We need those things to live and thrive. Okay, that's why we need more trust busters in our government, more cops on the beat to prevent us from being scammed by big corporations and just fraudsters in general. And to protect our food, so we're eating good, clean, healthy food. You know? And I know it's been a problem for a long time, especially with the FDA effectively being bought off by corporations. And the Congress also, who allow deregulation to cut cornering cost. And honestly, this is the disturbing part. The things that are being put in our food today are not that way in other countries. If you can compare an ingredient box of like a General Mills cereal compared to the UK version versus the American version, or Australian version versus the American version, or Switzerland version versus the American version, you would see a night and day difference. Okay? Their General Mills cereals, for example, would have simple ingredients like a simple wheat or a whole grain, some organic or cane sugar, maybe some sugar alcohols, fruit for natural food coloring or juices. Okay, that's the extent of what they would put in their cereals in other countries. You know what they put in the cereals in our country from these big corporate companies? Processed sugar, enriched processed wheat and corn, processed grains laden in pesticide, ingredients on the box we can't even pronounce, with 30% sugar and red dye 40. Okay, BHG and all this other garbage that our body don't need. Okay, ingredients that are not meant for human consumption. All right, that's what's being put in our food from these corporations. And now this current administration is saying, I want to further allow corporations to do that. And Mr. RFK, Mr. Health Nut, which I want to remind people, he's not a health nut, he's a fraud. Okay, people need to stop listening to quacks like RFK. He has no credibility. These people are all in bed with corporate America. And I'm glad people are waking up and realizing that. RFK, the guy who sniffs coke off toilet seats. Really? You really think he's a healthy guy, a health nut? A guy who swims in dirty lakes? A guy who eats raw pork and gets brainworms? A guy who used to shoot up heroin? Alcoholic? That's a healthy guy? Let's get real. Okay? Plus the guy sounds like a frickin' frog when he talks. So, let's be real here. Okay? These people are not credible. They're a bunch of corrupt grifters out for themselves. And RFK is totally on board with what Trump is doing. Oh, yes, it's totally fine to put more glyphosates in our wheat. Really? Mr. Skeptic of corporate America? Mr. Skeptic of these corrupt governments? The guy who tried to hoodwink people as he was running as an independent to convince people the Democrats were not adequate enough? The irony, the frickin' irony of RFK. And then he effectively had secret conversations behind closed door with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's promising to reward him by putting him in his cabinet. This whole thing was staged from day one. So whether he bribed Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, the ones who went around talking about how bad corruption and war is and how bad our food's being poisoned by corporate America, they don't care about any of this crap. They're so full of crap. They're working for the biggest orange apricot antichrist ever sitting in the White House. All right, let's just be honest. All right. They have no principles. And now the American people will see them for what they are. And that's the one good thing about all. This is the one great silver lining behind all this. Because I've said this before. They all are revealing who they are under Donald Trump's presidency. Every single one of these elected officials. Every single one of these people that are in his cabinet. They're all revealing who they are. And I'm glad to see it. Because the American public is waking up. And they are done with this nonsense. They are done. Okay? It's time to go back to a people-represented government and fight for what is right. And I don't care whether it's left or right. This is not about left and right anymore at this point. It's about class solidarity. It's about doing what is right. It is right versus wrong. Whether we're talking about the Epstein class, whether we're talking about the corporate class in our media, our food industries, and all these things that these corporations are doing to cut corners and do us dirty as people. We need to call this out at every end. I don't care who's in charge. I would tell you if a Democrat was in charge caving to this, to call them out the same as you would call out Donald Trump and this Republican administration. Because I don't know about everybody else out there, but I actually have principles. I believe what I talk about. I believe in a better governance. And I have no problem calling out the Democratic Party either as a Democrat. And I will show you days forward that I'm being consistent about what I say and being true to what I believe. So you know that I'm not full of crap. I would do the same critiques of a Democratic governance if they were behaving anywhere near as bad as this guy is right now. All right. So I'm going to show you guys this video to show you how bad big farm Monsanto's corporations have gotten with our food handling. All right. And how this administration is giving them the green light to further do that to our food. All right, I got to show you this video, guys. Give me a sec here. I'm going to turn it.
Everyone, welcome to the show. I have new Trump regrets to share with you guys, new Trump voters entering the find out phase. So first up, I have a video to share with you guys. This is from a Trump voter who fell for Donald Trump's promise to make America healthy again. So check this out.
I'm pretty pissed off right now, and regardless of politics, every single American should be as well. Donald Trump just issued an executive order designating glyphosate-based herbicides as critical to national defense. The order also grants legal immunity to domestic producers. If you're in the know, immediately you would think, what is RFK doing? Didn't he build his entire reputation off fighting big chemical companies and the health risks of glyphosate? He was part of the legal team that secured a nearly $300 million jury verdict against Monsanto. He viewed glyphosate as dangerous, carcinogenic, and a product of corporate malfeasance. The first MAHA report he put out even raised concerns about the implications of glyphosate on our food supply. Since entering the Trump administration, his position clearly softened, where he said even there's 1 million farmers who rely on glyphosate, 100% of the corn relies on glyphosate, and we are not going to do anything to jeopardize that business model. Kind of strange how quickly things change. So more and more, I think he hardly has any input on actual policy and is really just Trump's puppet. It's once you realize this that the governments are essentially incompetent, the only option is to buy local and actually drive the change as consumers. The grip corporate lobbying has on the food system is absolutely insane, that even the head of the HHS is really just a jester with hardly any real power.
I mean, he's giving him way too much leniency, way too much leeway here. Here's the thing, guys. I was hoping that Trump and RFK Jr. would follow through on some of this. I knew, though, that the chances were slim to none, because they're just puppets for the lobbyists and for corporate interests. I remember I spoke at an event back in 2016, and you know, I went to this event and was selling my book, and a woman came up. She said, "Oh, I want to buy a book. Can you sign it?" Blah, blah, blah. We got to talking about our mutual interest in natural health and so forth. And she was a Trump supporter. And she realized very quickly I was not. I loathed him. And she said, "Oh, well, I'm just excited, you know, that he's going to get rid of all of the vaccines, and he's going to this and that and all these different health things." And I looked at her and I just said, he's never going to do all of that. You realize that, right? He is owned by corporate interests. They think because he's wealthy, quote unquote, that he's not. That's not true. It's not true. And he knows in order to get elected, he has to kiss their asses. And to, you know, stay in power, he has to kiss their asses, because they will then pressure the other lawmakers to back off of Trump. So if he pisses them off, then they're going to go to the Republican lawmakers and say, get rid of this guy, impeach him, remove him. And even though Trump may not need their money, the lawmakers do. So none of, you know, it was very unlikely that any of this was going to come to pass. So for him to say, "Oh, well, you know, I just think that he's, you know, changed his mind and he, you know, he's not in charge." No, this is the way it works. They're all bought and paid for. So anyway, yeah, Trump, all of them, never going to do anything. Until we get money out of politics, this is the way it's going to be. Anyway, I have more posts to share with you guys from Trump voters who are pissed off about one of Donald Trump's other broken promises, his whole no new wars, that BS. So someone replied to a post about Trump and his Iran war, and they wrote this: "I'm sorry I voted for Trump. I am sorry that I believed in him and that he was an honest man. I am sorry to my fellow Americans. What a letdown. And then another person responded to someone who tried to blame the Democrats for Donald Trump bombing Iran. I'm not kidding. And they told this person, sorry, this is all on Trump. This is demonic and evil. I voted for Trump. You can't defend this. I mean, the pretzel logic of some of these cult members is just insane. And then this next person really gets it. They posted this. They said, there is nothing Trump can say or do for me to gain respect. He is not my president. I voted for him and it was a big mistake. He is controlled Israel puppet and outs Israel first above the American people. His day will come and I will not feel sorry. So I think it meant, it was a typo. I think they meant to say puts Israel first. And then there's a woman named Lola who replied to Donald Trump's media strategist, a guy named Dan Scavino. You guys may remember that guy. And they said, I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong flag. This isn't what we voted for. So Scavino's post had a flag of, it was an American flag. And so I think this person is alluding to, you should probably put up an Israel flag. And I should point out, the vast majority of MAGA posts on social media, they're praising Trump. They're thanking him for murdering innocent people in Iran. Of course, that's not what they say, but that is what it comes down to. That's what it amounts to. But there is enough backlash and enough anti-war Trump voters. This will cost them. This will cost the Republicans in the midterms. Anyway, I have another video to share with you guys. Take a listen to why this swing voter now says that they disagree with or disapprove of Trump's presidency.
He was going to push for some difficult decisions, but I didn't fully understand how he would go about it. And I think that I didn't fully understand when I voted for him that I now consider him to be dangerous. I mean, that would be a descriptor that I would use for him, that I think he's a dangerous leader. And I think that I never considered Biden to be actually dangerous to our country. Incompetent at times.
I just don't get it. I don't know how she didn't know that he was dangerous before she voted for him. Anyway, and then speaking of not knowing what Trump was all about, I have a story to share with you guys. This is from the Baptist News Outlet. So it says, I'll bring up the article here if you guys want to go look it up, but it says that faced with deportations of their church members, some Latino pastors who voted for Donald Trump in 2024 now regret their choice, according to Augustin, I think his last name is Quiles. So he's described in this article as the, quote, president and founder of Mission Talk, an organization that mobilizes Latino evangelicals to shape public policy and transform communities. And he shared the story of a pastor who called him. This pastor was all upset because Donald Trump had deported his right-hand person. So Quiles confirmed that this pastor voted for Trump. He's like, hey, let me ask you a question. Who did you vote for? And the pastor was like, you know who I voted for. So Quiles posed this hypothetical question to him and said, okay, well, if ICE offered to bring back all of your deported church members, would you change your vote in the 2024 election? And he said, yes, of course. So it says, the pastor said yes, and Quiles could tell he was remorseful. And Quiles said, Pentecostal Latino pastors vote Republican even against their own interests, against their own immigrants. Their churches are filled with immigrants, and then to make that decision, the question is, why would they do that? Why indeed? So even these people who are supposed to be all about love thy neighbor, give shelter to the stranger, they're also a bunch of hateful hypocrites who do not give a damn unless they personally know the person being deported. And people wonder, why do you hate religion, Gina? It is nothing more than a giant MLM scam to me. People trying to get you to go, you gotta donate, right? Anyway, next up, I have a post share from a Republican state lawmaker from Tennessee. So her name is Susan Lynn, and she, in 2020, thanked Donald Trump for not sending her son and daughter-in-law off to war. Here is her latest post, though. Please pray for our troops, and if you'd be so kind to especially remember to pray for my son and his family. He was called up and deployed this morning. We do not know to where. I mean, I really do hope that her son is okay. At the same time, I hope she realizes that she did this to him. It is literally her fault that her son is being deployed right now. We had 4 years of Biden. 4 years of Biden, and he did not start a war. He did not start anything with Iran. Okay? So for all those people out there who go, oh, well, Kamala would have started a war. Well, they admit with their own mouths, and Kamala admitted that she wouldn't do anything different than Biden. So obviously she wouldn't have started a war with Iran, because Biden didn't start a war with Iran. So anyway, guys, there you go. I will have more for you next week. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can.
So this is the reminder of people who thought they voted against the system. You didn't. You voted for a guy who is more of the system than the system itself. He is the guy filling the swamp further than the swamp's already filled. He didn't drain nothing. He just filled that swamp more. What's worse is now we got a sociopath, narcissist, running this already corrupt government further into the ground. Okay? And the guy has no principles. Donald Trump and his whole cabinet are a bunch of greedy grifters who are out for themselves. They show you every day. And all these politicians that are sitting ducks, that are complicit in this behavior, not only the ones that aid and abet in his behavior to further corrupt our government, but even the ones that are just complicit are just as bad. All these people are revealing who they are. All the Republicans are already revealing who they are. They're okay with all this. They're okay with this guy taking us to World War III, bombing Iran, kidnapping Venezuela's leader. All this madness we're watching. The wars, the expansion of corporate America, the destruction of our institutions and our government and our way of life. Further protecting corporate America to continue to poison our food. Okay. Censor us, take away our due process right. They're okay with all this. Republicans already revealed who they are. American people are waking up to the rot the Republican Party is and what they represent. All right. Which I'm glad to see, because that party just needs to get voted out in droves. They need to be taken down to the stake. Because they gotta rebuild and start over again, because the Republican Party they're a mess. They're an apologist for a MAGA cult now. All right. The Democratic Party, though, they also are revealing who they are by being complicit and not fighting back like they should be. Because they're so busy worried about how much money they're going to raise for the next election, instead of actually focusing on the moment that matters the most, pushing back against this government who is destroying everything we value about this country. All right. I don't want to hear about your kumbaya and playing patty cakes with this government. I don't want to hear a word about it. Okay? Unless it's solving a problem like, I don't know, releasing the e-files, or pushing a bill that's going to protect us as consumers, or cutting costs for the American people, or putting more money in our pocket, I don't want to hear what other BS you guys got to sell, because this is wrong. This is revealing what our government is and what it represents. And Donald Trump is just the face of what's already wrong with this system, with our government. He's enabling and further exposing, just through his behavior, how rotten to the core our government's been for so long. And all you politicians are getting revealed who you are. All of you. Republican, Democrat, and anything in between. If you are not calling this corrupt, state-run regime out every day, then you are part of the problem, whether you're involved in it or not. Because it is your duties as elected officials to stand up and speak out and actually represent the people you're supposed to be representing. Do your damn jobs. Alright, that's all I got to say in this video. I'll see y'all later. Love y'all. You have a great night. Goodbye.